Honestly, it is already late as can be for me. I did not want to start doing videos this late today, but it is what it is. So these are actually some prior made sheets that I was going to originally submit to PSA years ago and just simply never got around to. So, without further ado, we will go ahead and move into this cuckoo cuckoo. Now, one thing noted, and it was earlier on a video to which I had submitted some specific cards. You can see already in blue ink pulled. Simply, those were pulled for the most recent CGC submission. We are seeing some good leeway with our standard and express submission. Unfortunately, our economy submissions are apparently really impacted by the market. And I just spoke with somebody actually who had done a standard submission, and they said instead of 10 business days, it was 14 business days. And it was really funny. They had the exact same thought process that I had, that if I were a card grading company, instead of saying I can do it in 10 business days and always being late, I should instead say I can do it in 20 business days, and therefore when I can send it back to you in 14 business days or less, I look like a hero. And I think, again, a lot of things is just about painting the proper expectation. And I truly believe that that would be good business because you'd always be ahead on your timelines. So we've got this stack. We still have all of these stacks. And I really mean we have all of these stacks. I think it came out to something like, there's like 600 cards of stacks ready. All of those aren't particularly stacks. That's just cards I had laid out. These cards here with the papers in between, of course, are stacked, and then one more stack down there. And then we have stacks over there that are off screen. So we got something like 800 stacks that we think are worth, not 800 stacks, 800 cards in these stacks that are worth grading. We've got about 200 cards waiting with CGC. I don't think we'll ever go to PSA ever again. And then, of course, we still have other cards in binders, like in top-loaded binders that we've been pulling and haven't necessarily been putting into stacks. And then we also have these cards here, all the ones along the edge of this pool table that should be somewhat grade worthy. Not necessarily 100%, still have to kind of sort through them, but somewhat grade worthy. Honestly, if you had to ask my opinion on it, really any card that is a reverse holo, a holo, or a stamped card at this point is pretty much 100% grade worthy. Now, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get on with our grades. And while we do our grades, we'll go ahead and talk about the current situation that's going on with Pokemon. So up first is a 2019 tag team. I cannot pronounce that. I have never heard of this Pokemon, to be honest. A Nagandel and Guzzlord. I've heard of Guzzlord. I've actually never heard of Nagandel. I originally already did a guess the grade on this card in terms of it for PSA. And I guess between a PSA 9 to 10. Again, for those who are new or for those who have been kind of mid in between my videos, I have to do my guesses based on what I would expect for it to get at PSA, because that's where I have all of my data currently. I have not received any of my CGC graded cards yet back. As I start to receive those back, then I can start to make my guesses purely based for CGC. I think the only thing I saw with this originally is maybe some tiny centering. I'm not really certain. Honestly, right now on this look, it definitely looks like it would PSA 10. So 9 to 10 seemed very conservative. I would just say straight 10. But unfortunately, also, I just don't think it's one of those cards that's really worth that much as a 10. or graded period, but a 10's a 10, we'll take it. Okay, now what would be up next has been pulled, and the way we do that when we pull things, we just start from the bottom, and I have some cards. So the 20th card will be the pull replacement. Up next, I believe this was a pack pull myself. I gave this a 9. It's Cynthia and Caitlin. To me, I really like actually textured cards. I like the way they feel. I like how they've made them look. Unfortunately for me, I have a hard time grading them right. And I think that's why I just went with a 9, because I wasn't really certain. And I really do have a hard time grading these. I think that's just some fingerprints from earlier from me. I think I know why I gave it 9. It is definitely heavier right than left. This definitely wouldn't CGC pristine 10. I do think this would still be just about PSA 10. It would be very borderline. I think I went 9 because, again, I'm very conservative. I think you really have this card as a 10 in PSA for it to matter. Is that a scratch, or is that her hair? What am I looking at here? And I'm talking about that right there, right above her head. Is that supposed to be like one hair sticking out? What is this? I'll put my finger on it right there. Very weird. I'll have to research and see if it's on all the other cards. I'm not really certain. It doesn't look like it would be a part of her hair. It looks like it's like her hair would all be very smoothly done. So I will look that up. If it is an error, it's unfortunately probably one of the errors that detracts from the value. That is a thing, apparently. I'm so used to errors always adding to the value. I'm going to make a note of it. It's super minor. I'll put a question mark for sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. The Dark Raichu got pulled because it just would sell more for raw. Up next is a Southern Islands Vileplume. We had at a 7. So, ooh, that is... I don't normally do a swirl tax, but that's getting a swirl tax. And I've seen some absurd swirl taxes where like a card will have one normal swirl and it will have a $50 swirl tax. I don't think you should really be entering the $50 swirl tax until you start to be, getting swirls like this, or like really great placement swirls. If you just have a random swirl, and I paid for it just because I liked the card and I liked, like this is swirl here and swirl here, and both of them are multi-swirls. Like this definitely 100% meets the $50 swirl tax mark. But yeah, I'll have people who you'll run into, they'll have a swirl tax and it'll just be one barely swirl, not even a cool placement. And it's like, wow, okay, man. But this is double swirls, and both of them are super thick, heavy galaxy swirls. So, great. I gave it a 7. I see some silvering on it. Back's probably beat up in order for me to have said 7. Dang, 7 was being really conservative. This stuff, I think if I did the card care kit, I could probably get rid of a lot of that. I feel like a 7's super conservative. I want to say 7 to 8. And even then, I feel, yeah, I mean, it would be really hard to 9. But I definitely I don't think, man. I can't believe, my goodness. I must have really been. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Okay. Erica's Vileplume, Japanese. I think people still are sleeping on Japanese. I think it's still a fantastic time to pick them up, especially for personal collection. I said 9 on this, and if I had to guess so far, my only reasoning would have been centering mostly left to right. Top to bottom's pretty close. Left to right's definitely thicker right than it is left. Not quite really any swirl. A tad bit of whitening there. I think a 9 was probably just a little bit open. I could see PSA giving this an 8, but I also have cards that have way more going on, and they're 9s, so I think a 9's a fair guess. It's probably one of those ones where you end up looking foolish because somebody didn't want to give you a 9 on it, so they gave you an 8, but really, that should 9. Okay, so up next, we've got some, X means we removed them from the things, and then we end up at a Radiant Collection Reshiram. I guessed a 7. Boy, I sure am hoping I was super conservative, because this card starts to actually get really pricey when you start getting to the 8s and up, specifically 9s and 10 for sure. Now, if I said 7, I doubt all of a sudden I'm going to say 10, but let's see. What did I see? I can't. That was that. Whatever that is, it's really minor. Everything on the front seems like super minor and nothing to worry about, which probably means for me to have said a 7, there must be something going on the back. So let's see. Some minor whitening. There we go. There's some decent amount. 7 was definitely being conservative. Not overly conservative in this scenario, but it was definitely being conservative. I agree with it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, Oh, and I did not forget. So, and everyone's talked about it. I'm going to hop onto it because, why not? The Jason Page thing with what he did, and apparently he does, like, it's a known thing. Okay, Mega Slowbro. This one I just said 10. So Jason Page, there's, I say there's no way you haven't heard, but I run into people every now and then who just are completely oblivious to apparently the hobbies they're in. Jason Page is the person who sang the Pokemon theme song. You gotta catch them all. Gotta be the very best. Oh, I said 10, but man, just I should probably say 9 to 10. It's for those who are seeing this and not listening in the car. Yeah, I do recognize that slight nick. Believe it or not, it could still 10. That's why I wrote don't BGS, because BGS would say nah. PSA could still say yes. And at this point, I don't think that would CGC pristine 10. It probably would just CGC 10. And unfortunately, man, I'm going to be taking a hit on that one, because I do think that would PSA 10. Some of you guys are probably shaking your head, but you submit enough cards, you see some shit, my boys, my guys, my gals. A lot of female viewers, to be honest, which is a little strange. So Jason Page sang the original opener Pokemon theme song. Gotta be the very best, gotta catch 'em all. And to me, that seems great. And you would think also, that he'd be a big part of the community. And if he signed something, it would go up in value because there's people that when they sign things, what they sign goes up in value. Apparently, this person has had really bad luck, centering's not quite right, and has been just kind of like a scammy con artist douche person. Like a lot of people have written that about this person, and not just people on Reddit. I mean, like there are people who there are videos of vendors from years and years to where Jason Page goes to these Pokemon card shows and is just still really trying to live the golden age, but he just never really contributed outside of that song. He didn't want to be a part of Pokemon. He's essentially PSA. Again, for people who don't know, PSA originally was not going to grade Pokemon cards. It was Beckett who originally graded Pokemon cards. PSA wanted nothing to do with grading Pokemon cards, and eventually they said, hey, well, it's free money, why not? So Jason Page, after he did this song, basically was like, oh, Pokemon's lame, doesn't want to be a part of Pokemon, whatever. But he never had anything else ever take off, so eventually he succumbed to, oh, I have always been a big supporter of Pokemon. I'm the one who sang the song. Well, his signature is just not worth anything. And Holland Phantoms, Delta, non-holo Pikachu. And so the most recent thing he just did is he had a custom fake card that he, I guess, had pre-signed, and he was trying to see if anyone would trade him for it. And he probably actually had a way higher starting value than what he eventually set it to with the kid he ran into. I don't know the age of the kid, but it's a fairly young kid, probably 8 to 10 years old, maybe even 12. I have a hard time telling kids' age nowadays. And the kid had just received I think it was like a PSA 7, PSA 8 Fossil Gengar, something like that. But it's like a $150 card. And Jason Page convinced the kid to trade him the card for his signed fake card. And it's wild for a whole bunch of reasons. One, Jason Page is paid to go to these events, and it's kind of crazy because the people who run these card shows should definitely know that vendors and even just standard card people, I said this Pikachu was a 7 to 8. Yeah, that's fine. Probably a 7 to be honest. The vendors not really wanting to deal with him, and people who are in the card space don't even know who he is just because of how far detached he's been. This is 8 to 9 for a Diamond and Pearl, and this is a stamped. So that'd be really nice if this is an 8 to 9, but I'm looking at it now and I'm seeing things that would tell me not 8 to 9. Did I miss those things? Is that why? I must have. Oh my goodness. I see something that's obvious right off the bat. I must have completely missed it. Now, and we'll get to this card in a second. Jason Page obviously has had to have seen all the things people are saying, return the card. There are a ton of videos saying that. So yeah, he should just return the card. But Jason Page has made 0 videos about it. Okay, this card might actually go to card repair. I can't believe I missed this. I gave it Diamond and Pearl, Mysteries 2007 Pikachu Reverse Holo 8 to 9 stamped. So this is definitely it. 94 of 123. Yep. And right off the bat when the light hits it. Yeah, I saw these scratches. That's whatever. That is a more than a scratch. That's like a dent scratch. And then this is just a flat out dent. And it's enough of a dent to go through the front to the back. And man, that is... Whew, that is upsetting. It's enough to where I can feel it. I will have to consider my options. That dent lowers it drastically. And this card is worth a good bit, even as an 8 to 9, and even as a 5, which now the dent basically puts it at a 5. It's worth some money, but at 8 to 9, it's worth some decent money. And man, let's see here. I can't believe I said 8 to 9 though. I mean, I saw it almost instantly. I wonder if this is a card that I just looked at via the top loader. Because, I mean, honestly, all around it looks like it would 8 to 9. The centering was the only thing that was really throwing it off on the... I must have held it just like this. And the thing is I almost remember, I can't tell you who, but I almost remember buying this card from either a binder or as an individual card. If I bought it in a binder, this was a selling point of the binder. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's good. And man, again, just pay attention. Ugh. Is Pika Pika really the name of the attack? Did I get another fake card? I mean, it definitely looks real all around. I'm gonna have to look that up. If Pika Pika with no spacing is the real move, this doesn't seem right. Typically, there's always like a spacing in between the moves. So great. I may have a damaged fake card, which I mean, I guess would make life a little bit easier. Everything else on the card looks real, so that might just be me not knowing that that's the actual move on this card. Everything else looks real. That is super unfortunate how hard that dent is. So I'll move that over to the possibly repair pile. So yeah, that sucks. That sucks a lot. Up next is Arceus Dialga Palkia Tag Team, and I had it as a 9. So yeah, obviously I feel like Jason Page definitely should return the card. And not only do I think Jason Page should return the card, I think Jason Page should offer the kid other things that come along with it. I mean, Jason Page, at this point, it feels like now he's sunken pretty far down to where he probably can't pick any meaningful work up. But, and like, unfortunately, he's so far down, like, people are saying, like, his signature makes things worth less. And I said a 9 for this? God, I can't believe I said a 9 for this, but I said an 8 to 9 for that dented Pikachu. Because this card looks fantastic. I said 9? What was I smoking? I don't know where I saw the 9 on this. This looks like a 10. I was being incredibly conservative. This should look like it should pristine, honestly. Man. Which should be fantastic. But yeah, I don't know what Jason Page can really do besides just give the card back, and then on top of that, probably not sign also that Gengar, because apparently Jason Page's signature makes things worth less. I don't know, maybe give the kid your hat you wear all the time that apparently has the same logo as, like, Dude Perfect. Okay, Mimikyu full art. People really like Mimikyu. I'm like 50-50 on basically what I call Halloween Pikachu. Centering's not perfect. It's not terrible. I gave this a 9. Let me see here. I see a tad bit of whitening. A tad more there. Yeah, I was being conservative. I don't say I would be overly conservative. This is what I would expect a 9 to be versus a 10 having no whitening. I have seen it happen personally, a person who has received PSA 10s for cards that I thought would be 9s because they're whitening. I'm not going to say 9 to 10. I will just leave it as 9. Alright, Meowstic Radiant Collection. I said a 7. This will be interesting. Why did I say 7 on this? I think one of the cool things about Radiant Collection cards is they don't have the same kind of like holographic backdrop going on. They're all a little bit different. They all have these slightly different charms. Like, there was some thought put behind Radiant Collection. It's not everyone's favorite, but people are realizing that there was some thought put behind it. And Radiant Collection cards have really gone up in value over the last 2-3 years, and they're going to continue, and I think we're going to see them really climb even more again. Yeah, I see some stuff going on with the front, but it's not like anything that's definitive to where I could really say like, yeah, this should receive a 7. Let's see how the back is. Some whitening there. Some whitening there. Centering is definitely different. 7 was being... Oh, that's where it is. This. That's where I said 7. Yeah, it's not so super conservative anymore as much as it's just conservative. But I think I'll leave it as a 7. I think that's accurate. It's just so borderline. If it was just a tad bit less of such an intense amount of whitening at once, I would say 8. But it's not a very intense line. Rocket Sneak Attack. I said 7 to 8. Front looks fine. Corners are a little weird, but they're definitely not in the world. Where did I get? Geez, let me take a look off screen. Huh. Yeah, 7 to 8, probably more 8. There's some whitening, but I almost want to say 7 to 9, but we'll stay conservative. 7 to 8's fair. It's probably actually more so 8, but whatever. 7 to 8's fine. It's not like they see these grades. This is just our guesses that we retain. Okay, this Mega Venusaur, I said PSA 10, do not BGS, which meant I definitely thought it was really good. I just didn't think it was absolutely perfect. Centering's fine. It's not perfect, but it's fine. Heavier right than left. Not really any whitening. And then just some very, very, like, scratches really isn't the right word, but minor surface wear on the back. I definitely that would PSA 10, and I hope it CGC 10s, and I really hope it CGC pristine 10s. According to their standards and from what I've seen, I don't It would be so close to the cusp. I don't want to say CGC Pristine 10. Okay. I said this Flareon got a 7. So let's see. Probably one of the most sought out after Flareons, at least by women, for what it is. The front looks pretty good. Let me see if I can get whatever the heck that is to just, yeah, again, the fingernail method, not totally recommended, but it does work. How's the back look? Yeah, there we go. That's where most of it is. Yeah, 7 feels fine. 7 is somewhat conservative, somewhat hopeful. Definitely would have been cool to have gotten the card in a 10. I mean, the front of it is pretty fantastic, but the back, man, just that's where it gets you. First edition. Oh, that got pulled. Dark Golbat standard, and I guessed a 7. Half a swirl. No tax. No tax for half swirls. Ooh, 7 was being hopeful. That is a rough corner. Ooh, it's a rough corner. And there's always a chance I missed it. I wonder if that's the only thing there is, though, to it. A tiny bit of, oh, yeah, there's a little bit of whitening here and there. That, oh, come on. Let me see. No, those are a part of the card, but now I've scratched it a little too hard. 7 was being hopeful. 7 based on the back was being conservative. 7 based on the front and the back just because of that corner. And it's a good chance I missed that corner was being hopeful. So, I don't want to say 6 to 7. I think I still want to run it. And see what happens. It is unfortunate, but let's see. Okay, first edition Dark Golbat. This one I said 6 to 7. This one is definitely in worse shape. There's definitely a lot going on the front, some silvering, some scratches. There's whitening on the back quite a bit. Wow, okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'll scratch out here. That's what I'll do. I'll say 6 to 7 for the base and probably just 6 for this first edition. I know, the other one's not base, but you know what unlimited. I don't like saying unlimited. I'm saying first edition and base, and I know base isn't the right word. Okay, Lapras. And this is German? Yep, German. So not to be confused with English Cosmos, but German will be Cosmos. So not the same. And honestly, really great holographic for Lapras. Typically a Lapras has, like, sure, we can see some line scratches, but it's like almost like Lapras came printed that way. So for it to have so few, boy oh boy, fantastic. So seeing some uplift, but really minor, to be honest. Centering looks actually really swell. Kind of like a dent thing on the side. How's the back look? One of those, again, someone took a pen and kind of rammed it in the back of the card. Well, for a second I thought 7 was being conservative. Now I think 7's being optimistic. I don't want to say 5. I hate the fact that just like a card that you have to hold under the right light in order to really see the extent, that shouldn't be a 5. A 7's being optimistic. I think a 6 is being realistic. And we'll go ahead and move on to our other cards. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a second. We're going to write them down. We're going to go silent here. I don't have a whole lot to say today, to be honest. We'll just do these by year. No giveaways right now, except for those who win the bids of the cards that we've been selling. Congrats to whoever won the PSA 9 Sabrina's Japanese Gengar Yamabuki City theme deck Gengar. You just got the cheapest PSA 9 Yamabuki Sabrina's Gengar in like the last 2 months. They haven't ever been that low. So whoever won, congrats to you on getting that PSA 9 Sabrina's Gengar Yamabuki deck. The last few, like the one that sold before it, sold for 1,700 plus, plus shipping. Mine, someone just won for, was it 1,075 or 1,100? It must have been 1,175. Someone just won for 1,175 in free shipping. So, muy bien to you, good sir. You just saved a ton of money. Although, as of making this video, they hadn't processed their payment yet. So who knows? But hopefully they realize. Hopefully there's someone who sees this video that they're saving a ton of money by winning that card. All right, up next is Slowking. I know Hollow Cosmos isn't the official title. It's something like 10 promo, whatever. But this is good enough for me in terms of remembering that this card is not the standard Hollow. Picked it up for a pretty good price. Picked this up for like $7. Lots of hollow, but doesn't look like there's any swirl. That's okay. Really great finish. That's fantastic. I already have seen the front. The front looks great. Again, every time it's the back that gets you. Would have been great to have 10 this card. This card won't 10. There's definitely some whitening there. Some whitening there. And that's pretty much it. It would be a little extreme to say 7. I think 8 to 9 is fair. And that's what we're going to put down. That's what I'm going to put down. I'm going to put 8 to 9. I feel like 7's just too much. I think 8 to 9 is very fair. Up next is a card I'd never seen before. And I do spend time, going through cards and lots and singles on the internet and watching all sorts of people's channels and going to card shows. But up next is a Politoed, also in Cosmos. So I just, again, wrote that down. That's Cosmos. Really great holographic finish. There's some minor scratches in it. Those scratches actually won't prevent you from getting a 10. Like, well, they can, but they those in the holographic typically won't. Centering slightly off, not crazy. Now with centering and those scratches, I'm being conservative and saying probably a 9. Really, conservative's not the right word. Being more realistic and saying a 9 at this point. All right, the back. Some uplift whitening. I think a flat 9 is fair. I could say 8 to 9. And again, that's just me being. Oh, I see a little bit of extra whitening. There's a little bit of extra whitening right there. I guess I'll say 8 to 9. I do want to just say 9. I feel like an 8 is being, again, overly conservative, which isn't 100% the point, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. We're just going to title this video, Gotta Catch 'Em All, because of lovely Jason Page. This sheet's been videoed. Got a little CGC tag, little CGC swag. I'm definitely interested in doing card repair, either paying for the service or not that one, doing the service ourselves. Obviously, it can be a bit daunting doing it yourself. There is videos on it. I don't even know what this goes for as an 8 to 9 anymore. Like originally when I was making this sheet, an 8 to 9 went for like, I think 120, 200 bucks. I think now it's like getting close to 1,000, while a 5 is like 50. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that and see if it's worth the risk. I'm starting to build this pile of repairs. These were ones I wanted to send to somebody to repair, but some of these places like Kurt's Card Care is like, just do it yourself. Just buy our kit. And I might just do it myself, but obviously I'll have to try and find something to test on before doing it to that. I really hope you enjoyed this. I really hope I can get some of those cards fixed up. And I hope this is giving you ideas of kind of how to keep data for yourself and how to use it moving forward. And then also to understand that not everyone's signature is worth something. So keep it real.